on here. He's like, I'll just do it. Yeah, 4-player mouse counter rush shield proxy. I'll do a 3 gateway timing attack twice in a row and beat you.
Or rather, the moniker to give to this guy out of anyone else on MVP. Maybe Tails goes up there as well. This guy, you know, very well known for performing so well for MVP in the playoffs, actually taking a big all kill. And
here's
over here,
Classic, man, the king of being solid. You know, he's not flashy, I would say, as oftentimes as players like Parting are. He's not as like holy looking as like Rain is when it comes to this matchup. But look at this guy and you just think solid.
Yep.
Very good player.
This is also the guy that did the cheese against State in his only game here at Pro League, so got a name for himself there as well.
Yeah, this guy's got a variety of bags of tricks to use from for his own repertoire here. It's a Pros versus Pros. Could go either way. Most people are saying Classic. MVP needs a win to bring that ace match.
LTA는 SKT114.
Down here in the bottom right on Frost in the red for MVP, the Protoss player, he is Billowy.
Billowy, see that reflection in his eyes. He's spamming his location hotkey. He's up here at the top right in the blue. Very solid. He's Classic.
Yeah, not spamming his location hotkeys.
Yeah, maybe he was.
I was looking
earlier,
at his
but
eyes when you said that. I'm like, I want to see if Classic's doing it. Didn't see any flash in his eyes, no craziness going on in his booth.
Everybody sets different location hotkeys. A lot of people will skip the main entirely. Some people like to do that. Some people will set main, natural, and third so they can jump to each one of those 3 locations with the press of one of their F keys. Some people will actually hotkey third or fourth their opponent's natural so that they can like jump to that, then A move all of their army there when they're ready for a push or a move out.
Yeah.
So it's just really up to preference.
And an interesting stat I saw there as it did come up there while we were talking, it was that SKT, their record on this map right now is 2-9 here at Pro League. And if you consider SK Telecom T1 as a team in itself, they have, they're at the top of all the rankings here, of all the teams for Pro League right now. And if they have that bad of a record on one map, that's like a pretty big stat to mention.
Yeah. That's like all of their losses, their entire season, like are on this map. I'm like, oh wow.
Yeah, that's.
They've only lost.
It's a lot.
I'm pretty sure they only lost like 5 times. Like I don't know. Like, is that 9 right? Like I think that's maybe it was a 6, Brennan. Maybe you read that upside down.
I don't know.
So we have double gate here actually. A really cool build from Billowy. He's actually going double gate before core, and this means that he can actually, as his core finishes, rush out stalkers really fast. So this is pretty unique. This is what Billowy does, man. This is just.
Yeah, this is what you were talking about. He's a trickster, man. He's not gonna play standard, especially against a guy like Classic, someone who's doing so well, especially recently. He's just gonna be like, okay, I'll just throw something at you, like a kind of curveball, slider, something that you're not expecting, and maybe I take one game. It's a best of 1. Anything could happen, and he gets the scout here with his first probe.
Now, in the foreign scene, this build was pretty popular in the Wings of Liberty beta a long time ago, and especially when the Zealot build time was a little bit faster, like the very beginning. But players like White Raw were doing this. I want to say like Noni did this a lot, and also Adele Scott is quite famous for this. So this probe scout is really important. He's going to see this, and he's going to be like, oh, what on earth? Like, this is strange. He's actually not getting Warp Gate research yet. He can't afford it. He's still not getting it now that he can. This is like a build that's designed to just out-micro your opponent to death, where you come out there and you're like, all right, the momentum is on my side. I'm just going to have too much stuff for you. And you stop at 17 probes. It looks like he goes up to 18. He starts another Stalker. I'm really curious to see how he's going to follow this up. 2 more Stalkers. I think he's just going to keep rallying Stalkers.
Yep, it's looking that way, man. And we see Classic drop a Stargate right now. I'm not sure how well those Stargates units are going to do against so many Stalkers coming his way.
Yeah, I'm not so sure, man. He's going to want a Void Ray for that, for sure. I don't think he realizes the gravity of the situation here. In fact, Probe's coming up here as well. Can make a pylon for vision on the high ground. He's targeting down that mothership core down to 100 hit points, and here come the probes off the line now. And that Stargate is not even finished yet, and he's only got one more Stalker to pot, which makes it 2v2. But when the other Stalkers start to arrive, this becomes a very big problem. And Probe does get taken out here. Doesn't get that high ground vision with the pylon. That would have been kind of helpful here for the ramp. Oracle on the way.
Very interesting.
I mean, this is pretty confident out of Classic, I would say. He's like, all right, I'm going to hold this no matter what, I'll be fine, and then I'm going to harass you and kill you as a result. He needs to rely on Probe pulls and that first Nexus cannon, which he does have enough energy for now.
Baits them in, tries to get the Stalkers as close to the Nexus as possible, and actually does a very good job, is able to snipe one of those Stalkers with that Nexus cannon. So very, very nicely done here.
Oh, and he's got a pylon in the base. So that Oracle, he might actually be able to counterattack here and make some very disastrous damage happen. Because if you are just trying to contain your opponent like Billowy may decide to do here, and suddenly an Oracle comes to your base, like, all right, I'll warp in 1 or 2 Stalkers, it'll be fine. But then if he warps in 2 Zealots with the Oracle, then you're in trouble. And that's a late Mothership core. He pulls all of his probes away here. He doesn't have an overcharge. He's got nothing. Warp gate research isn't even done, and the probe damage is starting to be done here. He can even pick off a Sentry.
Sentry goes down and pops up. That's not what you're going to want here, and we're going to see him warp in some units with this as well. See probes continue to go down and down. They're not even mining anymore. Up to 10 kills now.
Yeah, and with that pylon in the main, man, who knows what he's going to get done with that. Would want to fly the Oracle away from it, most likely, just so it's not scouted, but Void Ray is on the way, and yeah, I think he's just going to send the Void Ray across and maybe try to do it to kill him with a counterattack. Warp Gate research just now completed. Finds the pylon. Does he try to protect it? No, he's just going to let it go. That's fine, because he's got another pylon on the way. And the overcharge is going to be ready. In fact, it's probably already ready at this point, so that's going to buy him some time. And what Classic could do here is just make a Nexus and like be like, all right, now what are you going to do?
Yeah, and that's what he's going to do. Sends down the probe here, builds the Nexus, and man, he is so far ahead. He's done a lot of damage with that, delayed so much mining time. And he still has an Oracle out on the map to continue to harass you now as a Void Ray as well. This is going to be hard to deal with for Billowy. You're going to have to see, you know, impeccable defense against these area units right now.
Yeah, oh my god, his Stalkers aren't even in position. He has to use the overcharge, and that means that the pressure that could come out later is going to be so much stronger. And that really hurts.
Yeah, I was even listening to the Korean casters. They're all like,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
It's a huge deal, guys. It's going to be a big burden to him later on.
There's another Void Ray, and when you don't have an answer for Void Rays in PvP, even just 1 or 2 could do so much. Like, in the beta, I always bring up this anecdote, this personal anecdote. When I was playing the beta, when I was like playing like a ton all the time every day, there was like a few moments where I'd like have like a concave of Stalkers around Void Rays, and the Void Rays just win. I'm like, oh, Stalkers just don't beat Void Rays, even if you don't have overcharge on the Void Rays are like pretty good. He's got a lot of sentries to help zone out as well. I'm fearing for Billowy here. He also scouts this probe, which is really important, so no more counterattack potential here.
Yep, probe goes down. See Billowy adding 2 more gates right now, but it looks like Classic isn't going to give him much more time here. He's moving out a bunch of his units, has his Oracle near the base as well, bringing the the Mothership core as well for time warps. See what he gets done. There is the forward pylon, makes another one there even closer.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't care if that's seen anymore at this point. He's like ready to broadcast like, you are dead. Like Resident Evil, you are dead. Like when it's game over. Here we go. What does he decide to target? He's got a lot of choices. Goes for the Nexus first, knowing that overcharge may be the only hope for Billowy. And actually now realizing the Mothership core is nowhere to be seen, decides to fight the units. Now the Mothership core is here. He can pretty much do whatever he wants. He's got so much firepower here. Takes out the sentries. Even has an Oracle over here, which, doesn't do any damage, but it keeps 2 Stalkers away from the fight. And now he's got the firepower to finish off that Nexus. And that is going to be lights out for MVP here. 1 Void Ray does get targeted. Nicely done. But that's, I think, all Billowy is going to be able to do here. He's barely holding on. GG.
So Classic does it. He takes game or win number 3 here for SK Telecom. They do get their first matchup win here with the 3-1. Not the 3-0 they were hoping for, obviously, but still very dominant play out of all of these guys here.
Yep, gives a bow to the crowd. And, it was a very scary situation, but he had pure confidence there up against the Stalker Rush.
Yeah, it seemed like he had seen this many times before. Like, the second the probe went in the base, he was like, oh, okay, I just need to start here. He said,
Yeah, that was that turned out a little bit differently than I expected, and I think like part of that is from my weird like nostalgia brain, where I'm like, we're talking about when this happened in Wings of Liberty, like on close spawns Metalopolis, where like if you sneeze from your main base, you hit your opponent's stalkers. So like, I you know, that type of build doesn't really get used anymore, and the Russians is pretty far. I think that hurts him a little bit. Funny that he chooses to do that build on one of our bigger maps in Pro League, but definitely a tricky idea, very Billowy-esque build, but